Okay, great. So we're recording now, so this is going to be made public. So I just want to first start by thanking Diane for being an amazing member of the Leadership Council and all of the time and effort and energy and feelings that she's put into the journey that Uniting for Action has been in her experience, and the way that she's been showing up recently to hold space and hold energy and really see how to embrace and integrate what we're doing into her world, which has led us to this point where now I want to, thank and introduce Coumba and Afomiya, our two interns this semester, who are now going to work with Diane on the project of Diane's choosing. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves in just a moment. Just so you know, Diane, Coumba, and Afomiya are both in the public health sector, as I shared with you. And so they're each doing different things in terms of their relationship with Uniting for Action, and we'll kind of explain everything. But I'm really excited about the model that this creates, because this is the first time that we're having a client, so to speak, that we're matching up with our internal resources to be able to support the process. So Coumba and Afomiya, you guys are really on the cutting edge of really taking what we're doing as an organization and making it useful for organizations like Diane's. And I know that you're going to be, excited to hear about the things that Diane is sharing. So let me start by first, Coumba and Afomiya, each of you just please take a minute to share where you're at in your studies and what your intentions are beyond your current academic studies, and just quickly the reason that you're here with Uniting for Action and what you hope to accomplish in working with Diane as well. So Coumba, why don't you start, please?
Yeah, I'm Coumba So, and I'm a fourth year at Ohio State, and I major in public health and specialize in sociology. And I am just really passionate about spreading public health issues to people, because I know some people sometimes don't really know what's going on, or they will, but they don't know like why it's happening, who it's affecting. So that's really what I'm passionate about, what I like studying. And I'm just excited to, help you guys with your different organizations and help in any way I can and just learn from you guys. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coumba. That's really so great. And Afomiya?
Hi, my name is Afomiya Mendaba. I'm a freshman at Ohio State University, and I'm a neuroscience major. I want to go to medical school. I'm in a pre-med path. I want to help people not only in the United States, but like across the world. That's why I want to become a doctor. And I'm interested in United for Action because I want to spread like information about global warming and like some issues that are not addressed well. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Afomiya. So great to have you guys here. And now let me allow Diane to introduce herself and a little bit of her background that she wants to share in context, and then share with you what we're working on now, what Diane is bringing to us, and what we're all going to start working on together. So thank you, Diane. Thank you again for all that you're doing and all the energy you're holding. It's really awesome. And also in the middle of this challenging personal time as well, I really honor and appreciate the space that you're in and what you're doing to be here and be able to work with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jared. And thanks to both of you. I'm super excited about diving in and seeing how this all unfolds. So I have a 501c3 nonprofit, the Agency for Life Transformations, and I work with youth and adults with all sorts of disabilities. What I specifically do is I help to prepare them for employment. I help them with placement, with job coaching, with skills development and all that sort of stuff. With the younger ones, we do a lot with career exploration, helping them to gain that self-awareness to assist them to finding their place in the world. And so my organization really takes a mind, body, spirit approach. So even though we're coming at things through the portal, so to speak, of the employment aspect, we get involved with supporting those individuals in all the other areas of their life. So I've studied integrative nutrition, and I'm very interested in the brain. I'm interested in how nutrition affects our are, you know, brain functioning, especially because I work with a lot of folks with autism, traumatic brain injury, seizure disorder, you know, a lot of different things that we associate with, you know, having to do with brain functioning and intellectual disabilities in general and that sort of thing, as well as physical issues. So I don't really know how far you want me to go, Jared, into like, you know, I'm kind of a project junkie. Like, I love projects. So the way that I met Jared actually was through his mother, who is a very amazing individual in her own right. And she had reached out to me because she found out about my organization and what we do. And we have a common interest in supporting the disability community. And then I got like linked up with Jared, and I've sort of been a fly on the wall through a lot of the process that he's been going through in creating his offering, the platform, and bringing folks into it and everything. So I've really been kind of very peripheral to everything that's going on. And now Jared reached out to me a few months ago, and he was like, I've got this approach, and it's going to be relevant to everything you're doing and everything that that I want to do. I'm very interested in collaboration, being a project junkie, of course. You know, projects are generally collaborative. So there's, I think there'll be a lot for us to explore that will also be relevant to your individual paths. So I'm excited about that. I don't want to go on too long because I want to give Jared a chance to direct things where he'd like them to go.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's a couple things, you know, we really want to cover today. One, we really want to get into the specific project and start diving into the details. So we're going to do all of that for sure, and very soon. We also, just as a matter of like course, we're going to also make sure that Coumba is covering specific competencies that she needs to cover for her capstone. So we'll actually, you know, have her pull it up as we're going through the project, and she'll be identifying the specific competencies. And this also, it gets back to Diane. We talked about this, you know, months ago in terms of having interns and what it could look like. So you're getting like the behind the scenes view of like the admin side of it, like we talked about, like, and Coumba's requirements in terms of like paperwork and competencies and all of that is actually not as stringent as other schools. Like for hers, what we're going by is simply the agreement that they said, that they emailed me and said I need to agree to. And, you know, basically I'm just making sure that what I agreed to is getting done, and that, you know, but not everybody necessarily, I think, is going to that level of detail. But I want to make sure that we're in integrity and Coumba is getting the experience that she should get out of this, and that we're setting the example for how we manage students for not only Ohio State University, but all universities, that when they do their internships or capstones or practicums, that we are going to make sure that they get, you know, what they're supposed to get out of the experience. So, you know, it's really great. And I want you to know that too, because in this case, you are being an integral part of the delivery of the requirements for her whole internship. So it's really awesome that we're getting to do that too. This whole win-win-win for everybody, right?
Indeed.
And Afomiya, on the other hand, is simply volunteering without any requirements. So we have to acknowledge and thank you, Afomiya, for not even needing to follow any kind of guidelines or meet any requirements, but you're here to make a difference, and we really appreciate that. That's really awesome as well. So with that said, Diane, I want to let you dive right into the project and start explaining it and start to identify the specific places that there could be potential, some needs to fill in and some work to be done. I know we talked about, so I want to set up in advance again the expectations. I meant to look beforehand. Do you guys remember how many hours I said we would set the whole project for? Does anybody remember that?
Like in total?
In total for the, yeah, for this project. I think I'll double check. I think it's somewhere in the range of 30 hours or so, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I think it was like 25 to 30. something around that range.
Right, because that's about 25% of your hours, Coumba.
Yeah.
So let's start with that as like a minimum expectation, Diane, that it's going to be 25 to 30 hours, and you can plan, that you'll have that. If I want see if you can stick to that kind of range right there. And then if, we fulfill those hours and we see additional needs where we can take on other parts, we'll see if we can go there. But let's have that with that block of hours that you're receiving, that you can accomplish some goal, before they move on, so to speak, right? Sound good?
Very good.
Okay, cool. So within that context, I'll pull it up briefly, although I'll let you, pull it up and be in the driver's seat if you want, Diane. So my first question is, are we going to use this project, or is there a different project that you're going to focus on?
Well, this project is a big area of focus. It's going to be a really big undertaking, and it has the potential to probably be the most, if not one of the most impactful projects that my organization is going to embark on this year. So I would like to maybe flesh this out a little bit and then see if it's a good match for the skill sets that our interns are bringing to the table. Would that be reasonable?
Yeah, that's great. Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. So in that context, do you have the mind map pulled up on your computer? Can you walk us through it, or do you want me to send you a link?
It would probably be easiest if you could send me a link, because I don't have it at my fingertips.
Okay.
And just because of everything that's been going on the past 3 or 4 weeks, it's hard to believe that much time has gone by since I was last really, having this in front of me. I mean, the mind mapping part, of course, but there has been some progress, minor, but some progress, and I can speak to that. All right, so you're giving me.
That's great. And so this link that you have should give you edit capability once you put in your name. And then we should be looking at it and be able to both edit it simultaneously. I haven't done this with another person yet, but it should work.
Okay, so it's loading, it's doing some stuff.
Okay, great. Now
it's giving me the chance to sign in, so I'm gonna do that. It's asking for a password. Should I make up a password?
No, yeah, you don't, I don't think, oh, yeah. For you, yeah, you can just make up a password. Yeah, don't use a sensitive password, but make up a password.
Okay. Well, I tried to type in a password, and now it's doing weird stuff. Are you able to see my screen?
If you share it, I can.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to do that because
no worries.
I am having technical difficulties.
No problem.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna share this with you. Yeah, so when I try to type in, it won't let me. When I try to type in, it's doing some kind of weird thing. So I'm just making up a password.
Okay, we're not seeing your screen yet. So
you're not seeing my screen.
Now we are.
Okay, on my end, it's telling me that it is. So I have no idea why every time I try to type in a password that I'm making up, it pulls up that box that you just saw. Oh, but now it works. So it just needed you to watch, Jared. That's
usually that. I can't tell you how many times that's what it takes.
Right. So Jared and I had walked through this process of putting together the mind map.
By the way, can you zoom in a little bit? It's a little small for me.
Sure. Wait a minute. How do I do that?
It's got in the bar up above, you've got the magnifying glass.
Got it. Bigger? Oh, too big?
That's good. No, that's good.
Okay. Wait, is it good right now, or
go back one more bigger?
One more. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, so what it is, the big idea is a multi-sensory immersion art exhibit. So just to kind of explain what the vision of that is we are using art as a catalyst to break down walls between people with disabilities and people without. So it's kind of like a bit of a cultural exchange, so to speak. And we envision setting up an exhibit where we're going to be working very closely with the artists to create their art in such a way that it is accessible by people who may not have, not have vision. They may have other, I mean, vision is the big and obvious one. If you can't see, then you're going to be limited in the ways that you can experience art. And so we'll be creating tactile pieces. We'll be bringing in other elements like sound and scent and, just any creative things that the artists are going to come up with. We're talking about creating like an audio tour, so to speak, with that, depending on who we attract into the project, if we're able to get some people who are tech savvy enough where that they could create something that people would be able to access maybe through their cell phone, be able to use their Bluetooth to be able to take this guided tour. And as they arrive, they'll have the option of putting on blinders so that they can go and experience the exhibit as a person with no sight and kind of dive into experiencing through their other senses. So that's kind of like the big idea of what we're going for, is that we want it to be an art exhibit that all people can come and have the full experience of the intention behind each artist's piece. So that's the overview. And then here on the mind map, Jared helped me to put in the different components of the things that, so for example, we want to be able to have culminating activities. So it won't just be happening within the confines of the art gallery, but that there would be maybe some different off-site experiences that people could have. So like, for example, this poetry workshop is, it's a basic format that we have worked with before, where it's a sensory journey, so to speak, where we go through a series of different sensory activities, and then which move us into these different emotional spaces. And then from that space, we're creating our poetry, or what, similar poetry, or some people, it's not so much poetry, it might be like rap or jams or different things like that. So that's one thing that we want to be able to bring forward. The art convener is where we'll have all the artists together as they're developing their different ideas for how they want to present their art to this audience and how they want to create these experiences. So the artists will be able to take turns being kind of on the hot seat, so to speak. And then the other artists will be able to give input into their concept, or if it's a specific art piece. And we also hope to develop the audio tour through using the art convener approach. So obviously artists are going to be a big piece of what we're doing here. And then we have all the components that go into the management, all the things that will have to be managed. We also talked about the different venues where these activities will be taking place, and even the possibility of the exhibit itself, going on the road and moving. And then we talked about production. We talked about the possibility of creating a video documentary around this whole endeavor, because I think it's going to bring forth a lot of, well, we don't even know everything that it's going to bring forth, but the idea of how relationships will form between the art community and the disability community. So the idea of getting some folks involved. So we identified well, at least one individual who's kind of in my sandbox who works with theater, and he has a national nonprofit, and he works with something called Lights Camera Access, where they train people with disabilities in different production oriented jobs behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. And so he's a person of interest to get involved in this this project. But then again, there'll be also, that's going to create a whole new area of work, post-production, and creating the documentary. And so what else do we have? Sponsorships. You know, we're going to have some needs. We're going to have people potentially traveling to my area to get involved in the project. So, you know, we'll have to be possibly considering if we could involve this new hotel that's right next door to our gallery, where they might be willing to comp us some rooms so that we can have traveling people and come in and be able to offer, you know, to cover, at least defray some of their expenses. And so other considerations would be the artist selection process, how we're going to have to put out a call to artists that will have to be crafted. And then we're going to have, you know, the discussions that are going to inform the process that we're going to actually be embarking on as we bring this whole project into, you know, life. And then we talked about how we want to bring in different forms of creative expression so that that will help us to more fully explore some of the messaging behind the different art. And it will also help us to connect beyond our individual sandboxes. So it's a way of the art community actually, you know, will be more connecting across their disciplines while at the same time involving the disability community. So we've got a couple of theaters that are located near us. We have a big music scene. Of course, we have the visual artists, dance, and you know, just generally creative movement is going to be a part of it. And then, of course, we have the whole metaverse that we'll also tap into. And so then back over to the management side, we have the different aspects that will have to be addressed, the communications with the artists, with the sponsors, the tech support, and identifying what the needs are going to be, and also reaching out to the differently able community and getting them involved and having them represented on the steering committee and on the selection committee and on the convener, because we want to have, we don't want to create something for the disability community. We want to create something with the disability community to where they're involved in all the behind the scenes aspects. And so that these relationships can sort of organically develop around this project. So I think that pretty well covers the mind map.
That's really great, Diane. Is there anything that needs to get added to the mind map or change as you're seeing it again? You want to pull it up for a second and see if there's anything that you notice is missing or can be adjusted?
Well, I said, like I said, there.
Share it again?
I'm going to share it with you guys again. So there hasn't been a lot of work on this at the present moment, but just little bits. So we're getting closer to having a date. We know that is going to be in the month of September. So we figured that gives us a relatively large chunk of time to dive into this. As far as the production aspect of it, I've identified another local vendor who could be a good fit. But I really just feel like these areas pretty much encapsulate, like I haven't thought of any of these main bubbles here that I would add to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good, like, obviously sponsorships, well, I mean, that's going to populate as we, I think honestly, Jared, a lot of it is going to be forming the steering committee and getting those commitments of who's going to be involved in the project. And this is enough of a framework to where,
let's put that
Yeah.
here somewhere, because that's a big part of it. So is that in your management, or is that something separate, the forming the steering committee and getting the commitments and all of that? Because that sounds like a big part of your, what should be outlined, right?
so, right, I mean, I guess I was just equating the steering committee more with like just the management bubble, like this management could just as easily be management plus, slash steering committee, because the steering committee is going to be directing a lot of the management functions.
Okay. So I think that maybe just a bubble there for recruiting and onboarding management team, right?
Okay.
Off of the management. So if you just hit tab on your keyboard while you're on management, it'll go ahead and add it, and you can just add, and we'll actually move it up to the top, but you can just type in there.
Oh, it went away. What did I do? All right, sorry.
Okay,
I'm just
tab and just start typing. You don't need to click on it. Just start typing. So, oops, you hit something else.
I just started typing, and this is what was happening before.
This is what was happening before. That's so
I just started typing, and then all of a sudden this box pops up. So
I'll do the typing.
I don't know why it's doing that.
I don't know why either.
Quite annoying, and now I've got this weird.
Yeah, hit escape, and that should get rid of that panel. Did that work or no?
Yes, it did, but now everything is small again.
Yeah, I had this experience a little bit, not the whole open and everything, but I've had the panel pop up on me when I was like hitting a key or something like that. I guess let's try it one more time, where you just hit tab and just start typing, no clicking. You don't need to click, just hit tab, start typing.
All right, I wish you could see my fingers. I'm pushing the S. So it did it. It's okay this time. I don't know if I accidentally, like if my sleeve dragged on the mouse or something. I don't know. I'm pulling myself up.
All right.
All right, so steering committee. Is that how I should do it?
Steering committee recruitment, I think, is what you want to focus on, right? Because that's the main task. You're going to put that up at the top, and this is where so now now that,
how do I make it go to the top?
Yeah, so now hit enter to complete that, and then now that it's highlighted, just click and drag it up above artist communications.
Oh, this is fun.
And then let go there. Okay, right. And now you can click and drag it down to make it spaced a little better. Yeah. Okay, great. So, okay, perfect. So now that you've given us the whole tour, where are the pieces that you've been imagining Coumba and Afomiya getting involved? And also, I'm curious if anything popped up for Coumba and Afomiya around, the parts that they may be particularly interested in this. So you want to stop sharing for a second, and we'll just get their feedback, and then we'll see where else you want to focus in on. So Coumba, let's start with you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed the ideas of all aspects of it. Honestly, I think I can fit into a lot of different things, because I really enjoyed like the management part, and then just like the artist part with the music and everything. So I think that could really fit into my project really easily, because it only said for me to complete one or more of the competencies. So yeah, I think that would be pretty easy to complete.
Cool.
Good.
Cool. Any thoughts from you, Afomiya?
I like the idea as well, and I think like I'll fit in the management part more, because like I like getting in touch with people, like getting like ideas from other people. So I think the management will fit better, but I like the whole idea. And yeah.
That's great. That's great. And so to give you an idea, Diane, as well, in terms of like the time commitments. We're looking, well, How many weeks until you guys are going to be wrapping up your semester before your finals and everything? What's like the last week we should have you working on this project?
Probably like 6 to 8 more weeks.
Okay, so let's plan on 6 to be conservative. And so imagine, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 hours a week, Diane. And imagine that probably as like 4 hours from Coumba and 1 hour from Afomiya, because their amount of hours per week is vastly different right now. Afomiya is providing around 3 hours a week. Coumba is about to be into about 20 to 25 hours a week. So,
Yeah.
so it'll be 4 hours from Coumba, 1 hour from Afomiya. You can count on for the next, 5 to 6 weeks is what we'll plan on. Although there is the spring break week, so maybe we'll remove that week so that you guys don't have to be worrying about it on spring break. And then, so then we'll plan for 5 weeks of work over the next 6 weeks, and then we'll see if we need an extra week to wrap anything up. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, great. Okay, so Diane, now that you've heard that, you want to share what thoughts you have about where they could fit in or be most useful for you in the next, 6 weeks, and which parts are going to be the parts that could really use their support, and that they could, I think also, again, as you're imagining, help them get the most rich experience, right? In terms of connecting potentially with different people, or having different communications, or having Zoom meetings, or being in on different things, or whatever it might look like for them to help. This is their opportunity to get that real world experience, to help broaden their mind of what's out there in the world and how they want to direct their studies to be able to integrate into the world as they come out.
Right. So I guess, well, part of it is I don't really know how you guys, what skill set you're really wanting to utilize. But since we'll be working virtual, the things that are kind of obvious to me are, anything that we want to do in terms of outreach would along the lines of social media. And then also if you guys wanted to get involved with some research aspects, because one thing that I think would be really smart for us to do would be to reach out to other organizations who are doing similar work and projects to see if we can, maybe even involve, wouldn't it be cool to have a virtual steering committee, even if it was just for a limited time, where we might be able to get some folks from some other organizations in the country who are working on doing similar things. There used to be an organization that was called something like One Blade of Grass. They went out, but they had a really, really cool model. And what they did is they gave grants to people, artists. They gave grants to artists, but it was all specific to socially engaged art. So it was like art with a purpose, really. And what they would do is they would give these artists this grant. Well, the artists would have to submit proposals, and then they would get these grants, and then they would have a year that they would be working on developing their project. And then One Blade of Grass would do documentaries on all the artists. And then at the end of that year, they would have an event at Art Basel down in Miami. And my friend and I went down there to screen the documentaries that they had done. This was probably about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe at least 6 years ago. So I took a lot of inspiration from that. And then when I went back to try to find them, they're not last year was their last year, and they folded. But I give that as an example because that seems to me like an obvious way that you guys could support remotely, helping to do some research, helping to you could actually make contact on our behalf and say, I'm working with this organization and this is what we're doing. And we saw that you're, doing something, and we'd just like to, perhaps learn more about you. We could perhaps schedule Zoom meetings that you guys could be in on that would just kind of help to broaden our base. And especially if we, get a lot of energy behind this and we want to try to push it out on, a broader, whether it be statewide or for us in Florida, or whether it be, national, or maybe even it's going to be an ongoing traveling exhibit. We don't really know where it's going to go yet. or how successful it's going to be. So that would be, you know, one thing, or actually will end up being more than one thing that we could dive in on. I mean, I have a feeling that if you both think this is a cool idea, that as you're kind of reflecting and seeing like the scope of everything, like just the same way that you were both easily able to identify where you saw yourself, what area you saw yourself fitting in with, that you might also have an idea of your specific skills and how you would leverage those within. So I think it was Coumba who said that you were gravitating towards the management, or did I just mix that up? I could have mixed that up.
Yeah, I said management, but I think I can fit well in any of these categories. But yeah, management, I really like, or like the different forms of creative expressions.
Right. I have a feeling that when you reflect, that you had kind of come up with some things on your own to say, oh, here's something I could do that would be helpful. Or another thing that I've noticed is that when we have these sorts of conversations and there is that energetic charge, that after we go our separate ways, something's going to pop up. You're going to bump into someone you haven't talked to for a long time, and then all of a sudden the conversation, they're going to say something and you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm just getting involved in this project. And it's like, you know, hey, there's something there. And so that's another aspect that I'm interested in that really excites me, is how when people come together around a project, then all of a sudden, you know, we start attracting more stuff. So I'd like to, I guess, just say to you both, and actually to, of course, I don't have to say this to you, Jared, because this is the world you live in, but when those things happen, those synchronicities occur, that I hope that you would bring that back to me and share it, and not hesitate, even if it means taking a bit of a risk, to say, I know this wasn't exactly what you had said, but you know, I love that. I really thrive on that kind of energy. That's what I'm looking for. So, maybe this is going to kind of evolve. Our relationship will evolve through this project, and different aspects of the both of you and the work that you're doing in the public health sector and what your interest is will also kind of find its way of weaving in to the project itself.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think you're right, and in that respect, I don't think we necessarily have to come to too many conclusions today, rather than to start opening a bunch of doors, as you're saying. I want to acknowledge also that Coumba said, besides the management, she mentioned also the music and the social media were a couple of things that you pointed out, right, Coumba? And I also want to mention, because we talked about it in your initial interview, Coumba, but we haven't spoken about it since your TikTok, being an influencer on TikTok. And I'm interested in seeing what and how you're doing there. And then also, you know, if that applies to any of like how you can help support what's happening here on TikTok, you know, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I thought it would be really cool to like make an account dedicated to like maybe United for Actions, because I think I know like the different ways to have a video, you know, blow up or get viral. And I think it's just a strategy. So I think that would be really cool to like implement and have on that platform.
For sure. We're definitely ready to have our Uniting for Action TikTok. And Diane, I don't know if you've been thinking about a specific TikTok channel or whether you have a TikTok, but we have that resource on hand. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that Coumba is an influencer on TikTok as well. Do you want to show us your videos now, or your TikTok now, Coumba?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up. I've been having trouble on it. I haven't really been on it since school started.
So while she's pulling it up, Diane, do you want to share what your thoughts have been around social media with this project? If you guys have had any conversations around it or anything?
Well, no, I mean, specifically to this project, no, we haven't talked about it a lot. But in a broader scope way, it's very much front of mind for me, because the population that I work with is very interested in connecting that way. And I'm just trying to, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, but I'm trying to stay like one step ahead of my folks in a way to be able to put tools in their hands that will allow them to have a level of influence and accessibility. So I sort of have this idea that we should have disability influencers the same way that we have influencers in every other sector. And it's just kind of heartbreaking how they're left out, but there
are some, right? There are some disability influencers. I just saw, you know, a mainstream headline. I don't know if you saw it. The first, now I can't remember what she was modeling for, but somebody with Down syndrome is modeling.
Victoria's Secret.
Victoria's Secret, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I've seen other influencers, you know, in wheelchairs doing things and other things. So again, I haven't like studied the whole disability influencer world, but I think like you're suggesting, Diane, there's a lot of room for growth there, and especially like on local levels, you know. So I think it's great, you know, if there's any way that we can help empower your community to be, you know, more influencer like, you know, in the world.
Right. So yeah, I mean, that's a huge interest. And then also just like, you know, kind of promoting our organization and kind of like, you know, letting people know who we are, what we're here to do, and showcasing success stories. That's really kind of how it all started for me was, you know, I just got interested in learning about, well, what is working. And in so doing, I discovered some success stories, not many, and it wasn't easy to find them, you know, 12, 15 years ago. You really had to search, and it was kind of pathetic. Now there's a lot more, which is positive. But yeah, so just being able to put the spotlight on what's working, because in our community especially, it makes such a huge impact because people haven't seen other people with disabilities doing amazing things. And so they don't know it's possible. You know, they only know what they've seen, what they've been exposed to.
Yeah, let me thank you for sharing all of that. It's really, really great. And it's reminding me that I have to bring in a big aspect of this, which is that as much as we can, we're going to have the work that Coumba and Afomiya are providing through the manifestation process model of accomplishing whatever it is that you want to accomplish, right? So all of the things, you know, that you've been talking about, whether it's reaching out to these, you know, different potential steering committee people, or reaching out internally, or the social media, or any of those things, all work within the manifestation process document within the framework. So just to catch all of you up, because this is a new version, a new document of the worksheet, which is the one-page sheet we have to make it easy to really, you know, work your way through the manifestation process. So the manifestation process is going from saying what you want to getting what you want. And so this is, again, where basically it's just whatever vision we want to focus on, right? And you can have a couple of different visions, you know, you can have however many different manifestation processes you want to have going on simultaneously, right? So one vision could be, you know, something along the lines of creating a presence on TikTok or something like that, right? And another vision could be, you know, like you said, convening some national organizations that have, you know, can be a part of the steering committee or something like that. So again, you can have however many different visions you want within, you know, the scope of the project and the time frame that we have to work with. And then from that vision, you're identifying the facilitators that you need to work with or coordinate with in order for your vision to be manifested into reality. So again, let's use these couple of different examples. So starting with the TikTok, you know, the first thing you need is, you know, somebody to support you with that, which might, you know, be Coumba in this case, right? And then identify, you know, okay, do I need somebody that's actually going to shoot the video? Do I need somebody who's going to be in, you know, talent in front of the camera? Like, what are the different elements that you need to create the content that you're looking for? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we're breaking down that whole, I'm just gonna actually do it since we're saying it all. So let's, so the vision, and I'm just gonna use shorthand because we're gonna go quick on this. So we're gonna say Coumba as like an advisor, and then like camera, talent, and then let's say on screen. Okay, so let's just say that like this is like basically what you need to, you know, start producing videos, and maybe there's going to be some more facilitators that you're going to add, and then you're going to identify, you know, the incentives. So for Coumba, it's the experience she's getting. And then for the camera person, maybe they're happy to be able to create content. You know, it might be very easier for you because, you know, the people that you might, you know, want to do this are all on board and don't need any kind of payment or remuneration or even favors or anything, right? But if they do need something, this is where you can identify what it is for them, right? So that's the first one. And now let's do another one really quick. Okay, so now let's say assemble national steering. And so you're looking for national nonprofit. And are there other types of entities other than national nonprofits that you might be interested in tapping into for the steering committee?
Well, it might not be necessarily nonprofits. It could be other art related or disability related organizations, like anybody who's done something that's kind of like similar to what we're trying to do, or.
Okay, great. So again, we could keep going into more details, but I just want to cover it enough that everyone's on the same page with how we're doing this. And then you're looking, you know, in this case, for what are the incentives that I'm offering for each one of these for them to be involved? Why are they going to give me their precious time and attention, you know, in the coming weeks or months or what have you? And so that's, you know, wherever there are different incentives, you want to identify that, different types of incentives for different types of entities that you're approaching. And then also, like, who are your referrers for these? Like, do you know people that have relationships with some of these, and you can, you know, put down their name and what incentive you have, you know, for them to want to support you with that. So the referrers are important. They're the ones that are referring you to the different types of facilitators that you're looking for. And then you have the analysts, you know, again, like in the previous case with the TikTok, you know, you could imagine Coumba being an analyst because she's giving you guidance in advance to help you set it up and put the right facilitators together and have all of the right pieces in place, right? So this is, again, where you're identifying your three needs: facilitators, referrers, and analysts. And what incentive do I have to offer each one of them in order to be able to create, you know, to have them commit to supporting, right? Mm-hmm. And in the end, what you're looking for, and let me go back into it. So now we've gone through this process of identifying all of what's needed. So by definition, in order to achieve your vision, you need each of the facilitators you've identified to play their role in the manifestation of your vision. Until you have lockdown agreements with each facilitator type you've identified that's necessary to achieve your vision is a pipe dream. So I didn't really say that in the right cadence, so let me say it again so it makes sense. So until you have lockdown agreements with every facilitator type you've identified that's necessary to achieve your vision, then your vision is a pipe dream. That makes sense? So it's really important because that's like the reality check that this system really provides to visions is like, okay, if you're serious about achieving this vision, then you need to get agreements on all of these, pieces that you're identifying. If you can't, then you're going to have to rework your vision, right? And, if you're committed to your vision with all those pieces, you have to do whatever you need to do to get your agreements, right? Type of thing. So that's, where this is going. And then, so this is increasing closing percentage, the concept. So each type of facilitator you identify as a prospect group for you, okay? So there are a certain number of prospects in that group that you need to sell on your incentive package in order for them to agree to play the role that you seek for them in your vision. Does that make sense? I know we haven't talked about it so much. We've been talking about it in the meetings lately. The number of prospects you need to present your offer to in order to secure an agreement is known as your closing percentage, okay? And if you secure 2 agreements for every 10 conversations, then your closing percentage is 20%. Knowing that, you can calculate how many prospects you need to present to in order to secure the number of agreements you require. So you see how we're breaking this down into a real, mathematical process? There are 2 direct ways that you can increase your closing percentage. Increasing how inspired a prospective facilitator is to work on your vision. And if the more they're inspired, the more that reduces the burden on incentives, or increasing the incentives that you're offering for prospective facilitators, and that reduces the burden on inspiration. So it's those 2 interplaying with each other, combination of how much you're inspiring and how much you're incentivizing to see, what your closing percentage is on your offers that you're making to these prospects. Does that make sense? And so you still have the option to, change the equation, is to reach more prospects. So there's one direct way that you can increase the number of prospects you reach with your offer. You can inspire/incentivize referrers to refer the facilitators that you seek. And there are 2 direct ways that you can increase your referrals, and it comes back to the same thing. Increasing how inspired a prospective referrer is to support your vision, and increasing the incentives that you're offering to prospective referrers. So again, a combination of how incentivized, how much it's inspiring, it recruits your referrers to help give you more prospects, essentially. It's basically one friend at a time. Will you share this with your community? Will you post this on Facebook? Now, each time you recruit somebody to blast it out to their network, now you have the opportunity to have many more prospects show up from that network into your funnel. They're seeing your offer. Now, you're at the same closing percentage, but you've got more people that you're getting agreements with. So we're using this whole process to get like really, systematic and, like I said, mathematical about it, literally, right? So that you can just have an idea, if I'm talking to the absolute limit number of prospects I can talk to each week, and I need more agreements, I'm going to have to somehow, sweeten my incentives. I need to get more inspiring with the video that I'm putting out there to people. I need to get more referrers. I need to incentivize referrers. You get what I'm saying? So this is the real like on the ground process. And Coumba, are you following all of this as well? Because you're going to be directing all of this action. So I want to make sure.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to message like customer service because it's not letting me in, but I was listening.
Okay, no worries. I was just realizing that I'm getting Diane's nodding on all of this, but I wasn't really tuning into you. Afomiya, are you also getting all of this?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, great. So that's the real, again, translational process of how, Diane, we're going to go from your mind map. And essentially the way that it looks, again, the way it looks again on the mind map is, for the most part, every time you get out to an end branch is where you're going to have facilitators, in that worksheet. And a lot of times it's going to be almost like a singular vision per one of these, right? Like steering committee recruitment is one vision to be focusing on with the manifestation process. And then, art selection process is a whole nother vision and a whole nother, right? So again, it's kind of like you've got a manifestation process going on in all of these different branches. And it's a matter, again, of deciding which ones we're going to focus on in the short term. But you see how you can basically apply the process to any part of the map, and how, Coumba and Afomiya can support what you're doing by conducting the process with you in that place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
To everybody? Okay, good. Any questions or any comments about any of that? Okay, great. So I'm going to show you one more example that I just completed yesterday, actually. So it's new to all of you. Pull it up here. So this manifestation process, you all saw the electric token webpage, right? Everyone saw that as an example of how we've used the manifestation process. And now, this is the next page that I've created for a paying client. So this is another Leadership Council member, Burge from Essence of Being. And Burge has Shamanasta, which is a soul group that she channels to provide divine guidance. And so I'll just give you the 30-second commercial to give you an idea. And so this, again, is a standard page, right? And again, this is how we translate the work that we're doing in the worksheet to define everything, and then going ahead and building out the page with the content that gives us what we need to present to everyone, right? So we're creating the content to be able to clearly explain who we're seeking and what the offers and incentives are, and allowing people to say, I'm interested in that. I'm ready to buy what you're selling to me, basically, right? So this is what it looks like in this case. So we'll do the 30-second commercial here. How would you introduce people to what they get from Shamanasta?
What they get, well, they could get clarity, direction. They could get answers. They could get validation. They could get ideas. They could get connection. They could get upliftment. They could get raising their consciousness. Just to name a few. I mean, I do get.
So the other thing is that this is the playlist that we have. So if you haven't seen, I think you all have seen this on the video. So, this is our standard setup so that all of the videos that we're creating for this particular topic are going to be here in the playlist, and we have access to that. Tells people about the playlist if they weren't aware. Here, I just pulled in some content from her website just to give people some context about who she is and what this is about. And then it goes into, the chopping up of the 45 minutes that we spent together talking about this. So I took out this clip, which is a 2-minute and 50-second clip, where she gets into the different topics that Shamanasta can get into: transitions, relationships. Sometimes people are feeling this, or they have these things, or they have these types of questions. And so again, I went through this 45-minute video. I found this section that describes all of this. Then I found this 2-minute that really gets into what the sessions are all about and about reviewing the recording. And then this, minute and 55 seconds that gets into all of the details of what's included in all of the different packages. And then this is where the sign up is. So again, remembering this is a little bit different just because this is more of signing up consumers, selling things to people, a little different than inspiring or incentivizing your facilitators, but it translates, right? It's still the same sort of process. And then she also has private sessions, so she spoke for a minute about that, and we've got that there. And then down below, this is where she gets into a 5-minute explanation about where it comes from in the fifth dimension and beyond, and the different things that can come and that sort of thing, for people that need more of those kinds of details. So you can see in the end, we took, again, a 45-minute conversation and we've turned it into this web page that is very structured and very straightforward and has very good video content leading, that's combined with all of these, edited summaries that have the bullet points and are really direct and really tell the story of this whole thing in this really concise and systematic way. And the important part is the systematic way, so that we can train up people like you, Coumba, and you, Afomiya, and others that can understand the system and apply the system to different clients over and over and over again. And as our whole society starts to get more and more used to this, and we have more and more people that are doing this, we're having more and more get done, really is what it comes down to. We're creating more and more results, because in the end, right now, the process that we're describing of being so direct and specific about all the needs that you have, Diane, for your project that are going to get outlined on all these pages and then be presented to all of these entities. You don't have to have individual conversation after individual conversation after individual conversation with endless numbers of prospects, right? All you have to do is have Coumba and Afomiya find those 100 prospects, send 100 emails directing them to the one page that has all of the content, all of the videos, all of the everything. And now you're starting to really leverage your time and energy to create results in a way that just wasn't available before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the magic of all of this, right? And again, you guys can see it's so, we want to make it so systematized. So again, over and over, whoever it is, whatever their situation is, whatever results they want to create, as long as they have a vision, as long as they define what they need to have to fulfill that vision, they can apply this process and create results. So again, I just want to honor and appreciate you guys for being on the cutting edge of doing this. This is really huge that you are the ones that are coming together to lead this out into the world, and super excited to have you guys create like real tangible results for people to see. That's like the big important thing, because it's great in all of its theory and everything, right? But now let's see, like after all of this time, how many did we get signed? How many did we reach out to? What video clips did we have? What pages did we create? How many agreements did we create? That's really going to be the measure of all of this, right? How many of these types of conversations can you have that get chopped up to create these pages? And then what can be done with those pages to actually reach out to prospects and have them say, oh, this is awesome. I definitely want to be a part of this. Let me get in touch with Diane and we'll be a part of the steering committee, type of thing. So I think I've given the whole full circle of where we're at with all of this. Or am I leaving anything out? Is everything really clear to you guys about where we're at and how we're going to go forward from here all the way through the whole project?
Yes, I'm really excited.
Awesome.
I think it's brilliant. I think that, like as I was listening to you explaining everything, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's kind of how like the organic process flows when it's functioning properly, but you're not, like what you've done is you've taken and you've quantified it and you've formulatized it and you've brought an intentionality to it that, that we don't, most people aren't usually operating at that level of awareness, and it's not easy to be aware on all those different levels simultaneously when you're trying to coordinate a big effort like that. So I think it's really brilliant. I think it's something that will work because it seems that it should be like people should just naturally resonate with it, because it really is a reflection of what I feel from my past experiences. When you're in flow, like that's how it all seems to shake out. Yeah, like you cast your net, you reel in those who are a match, and then it kind of just grows and everything. But this is great because it kind of takes the guesswork out of it, and it kind of forces you to articulate each of your your steps and your goals and your the incentives and everything. I think a lot of times we're too subtle or too maybe too subtle with the incentives. Like, well, what are these people actually? I work with a lot of volunteers, and one thing that I know about volunteers is that they all have their own agenda. They're all there to get their own thing. You may not even know what it is that they're getting out of it. Why are they showing up to volunteer? maybe, you know, they have a DUI and they need to get their service hours, but maybe they're lonely and depressed and they need to connect and they need to feel, you know, that they matter and that they can make a contribution. So it's a lot of different parts there.
Yeah, it's really great that you're saying that, because like you're saying, this really helps people be on top of all of that, right? Because really in the evolution of the system, as it's more ubiquitous and everyone's using it, then for every one of those volunteers, you have an explicit agreement with them where they're getting what they want, which is different than what the next person wants, but you're making sure that every volunteer is getting exactly what they want because you're having that kind of conversation, because like you're saying, you're creating that awareness to that level of detail. This is like being the ultimately responsible for the results, right? Like if you want to be responsible for the results, here's all the places you need to be responsible. Here's all the different ways you can tweak the results of what you're getting. You can tune it up, tune it down, you know, but here are your knobs to alter the process. If you're not getting results, you need to incentivize something more. You need to inspire people more, you know, you need to reach more people, you know, whatever it is. So again, it's great. And I'm excited that you guys are using it and taking it into the world, and that we're going to be able to do all of this with you guys. It's really awesome.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you for sticking with this and through so many iterations. I'm guessing, like I'm only aware of part of your process, but you've probably been doing this since childhood, I'm guessing. Building things and sketching out systems, and yeah.
I've definitely been evolving over time. So you're seeing a highly evolved version of this process. Yeah, it's really great. And yeah, at this point, I think we've covered everything that I want to cover for today. You know, just to kind of put a bow on what you were just saying, you know, as an organization, we've been evolving in this process, you know, a bit. Oh, there was the one thing, I'm sorry. I was thinking, I was forgetting what I wanted to say, and this is what I wanted to say. So with what you were just saying, Diane, about, you know, it seems like everyone should want to adopt this or use it, because it seems like when you have the option, you know, if your intention is results, and you have the option of being really systematic about it and being really deliberate with all the things we just looked at versus not, it's kind of hard to argue for the not when you're arguing for results, right? It's like, please, anybody show me what else you're going to do up against this that's going to create, you know, results, you know, in a different way, faster, better. You know, we're going to evolve to best practices, but this is the, you know, where we're starting. This is our starting point, right? The thing that I've noticed as we're making these tools available, so this is what we presented not at last night's Leadership Council meeting, but 2 weeks ago, was Uniting for Action is a membership organization of people who want to work together to create results. And we provide solutions, as you know, we provide systems and solutions that allow us to work together more effectively and efficiently. We just spent an hour going over that, so you're clear about all of that. Here's the other part of what Uniting for Action is really, I'm really keen that this has to be an equal part of what we're providing. Is we're providing access to tools and providers committed to optimizing our results. So it's the coaches, it's the nutritionists, it's everybody that helps us unlock our potential, you know, wherever we're bumping into obstacles, right? And that's kind of the thing that I've kind of been in the realization of lately, and we talked about last night in the Leadership Council meeting, which is that we are all operating at the limits of what our internal obstacles and challenges are allowing us to operate at, right? Like we can add tools and systems and that sort of thing, but it may not make a difference because we may internally not be able to open up to those expanded results. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it goes hand in hand. One, we offer the tools to people and say, hey, you can really make a difference in your life with this. And then we also observe, are they embracing it? Are they doing it? You know, if somebody has, what they're asking for in their hands, but they're in denial. They won't look at it. They won't, you get what I'm saying? There's a lot of, and I'm experiencing a lot in my own life, avoidance and different things in different areas. So I understand. So it's why, as an organization, we're tuning into not only how can we provide solutions and systems to people and organizations, but how can we provide support to help them and be empowered enough to embrace these tools to make a difference, right? And that's the thing, is you'll be surprised sometimes, as I have been, as you are, being out there in the world, creating opportunities for different entities. Sometimes you'll be surprised that, like, it seems so obvious to you that they should embrace, whatever the opportunity is, and they are not, for whatever reason. There's excuses, there's this, there's that, whatever. That it's an opportunity to say, to be able to go deeper if you choose. And especially in the way that we're providing this whole realm of resources, when people can identify like what's there for people, it's like, here's a resource that could potentially help you. Here's something that could help. I was getting blocked the way that you're getting blocked, and now I did this, and now I'm not getting blocked that way anymore, that type of thing, right? So again, I just want to bring that to the forefront, because that's a really important aspect of Uniting for Action. Is we're bringing all these solutions that, should be, for many people, for just about everybody, should be the way that we all start doing things. But a lot of people are not going to automatically start doing things, because they're going to have all kinds of different reasons that they don't want to embrace this right now in this way, type of thing. So that's the opportunity for us to tune in and see if we can support them through that, or whether it's just a no, and it's, move on to the next type of thing. But I just want to bring all of that up, because the more and more I'm having conversations with people around these really cutting edge concepts that really like change the world type of thing. It's like some people are like, yes, like you are Coumba, like you are Afomiya, like you are Diane, you guys are all in that mode, like, yes, let's do this. And then there's a lot of people that are like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And they want to find all of the places that they are unsure about in order to like make that a stopping point, and make that a stopping point. And they'll keep coming up with stopping points that never have them in the game, And so again, just as an example, and just kind of putting it out there, because it's a big part of who we are as an organization right now, to be tuning into all of that and be working within that realm of not only what solutions can we provide for them, but what support can we provide for them to be able to embrace these solutions and maximize their opportunities.
Right. That's why I remarked on the fact that I felt that the process was kind of intuitive. And I think that that's what's going to work for the largest number of people, when they're like, oh, well, that's kind of what I do anyway, but I just never had a little place where I wrote the stuff in. I just wasn't actually organizing my inner process that way. But now that I can see it expressed out here, yeah, this makes perfect sense. And, like maybe some people just need permission to say, well, which you, I think, do a good job of saying, you can add cells, or you could take them away, or if your project doesn't perfectly fit with this, then you can use what works and discard with the parts that don't work. But then there's some people who it's really just their approach. It's that their approach is to scrutinize everything before putting their toe in the water. Whereas, and I think it came out in the meeting today, some people have more of an approach that says, well, let's just dive in and let's just leave space for the unknown, the good and the bad that's going to emerge. Because if we get too, it's like you miss the forest for the trees in a way, when you get too attached to it, the idea of a process, and you become inflexible within that process, you're going to miss out on some really cool stuff. But without a process, you could just actually miss out on all of it, because you might never get, you might never get off first base, right? So it's interesting how we're always learning about ourselves through these experiences. And, you can just notice, oh, I had some resistance about that. Or, oh, like even as we're talking, I have to be honest that I'm thinking to myself, wow, I've got all these other things competing for my time and my energy, and I really want to be committed to this it seems like I've had some personal setbacks that have occurred, and I'm thinking to myself, and then just this afternoon, I got a call that my mother-in-law passed away, but now my mother today, my mother was taken to the hospital, but it looks like it's just a UTI. So, praise God, I think it will be okay, but it's still kind of, just makes me aware that I can be committed to something, but at the same time, unforeseen circumstances can arise. And that's the case for everyone, so I have to be a little bit forgiving of myself because of life. And then I can also extend that to everyone else and not be some sort of a demanding, dictator type of person that with no heart and no understanding. Like I just had someone cancel a thing that was for tonight that I've been trying to confirm with her. And in the meantime, I've engaged my employee in doing a lot of groundwork on the thing that was supposed to be happening tonight. And then she's just very nonchalant about, allergies, not going to work tonight. And I'm like, oh,
Impact over here. Yeah.
You just have to roll. You have to roll with it. You have to roll with it. But I really do appreciate, Jared, how, you're always noticing, and you always seem like you're so open to whatever presents and whatever unfolds. You just sort of take it in, and you're not the kind of person that has to, immediately say, oh, good, bad, or, you just say, okay, like, let me listen to this. Let me be open-minded about this feedback. And I really admire that. It's not always easy to do that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm honored. Thank you. I do my best to practice not resisting anything. And sometimes I do a good job. Sometimes I do not. I've been reminded lately as well, but I appreciate that you've been experiencing me doing a good job of that at times. So that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I like
Great.
it.
Great.
I like it. I like what you got here. And I'm also thinking about like who I know who would be benefited by this. And so I'm also kind of curious about, the bigger picture of how do we bring others in? Like I need to be a little further along, I think, before I would be like what I would consider a good ambassador to be able to like explain.
Oh, we're gonna put this out there, so you get to start right. I just saw, so I just want to check. I had told Coumba and Afomiya we'd be done by 4, and now we've run a couple minutes over. Are you guys okay, Coumba and Afomiya, to wrap up within the next couple minutes, or do you guys need to run, either of you? Yeah, you're okay. Okay, Afomiya, you okay for a couple more minutes to wrap up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Sorry to run over, but that's great. Yeah, thank you, Diane, for saying all of that. And that's really great. I want to see, Coumba, Afomiya, anything else that you guys would like to share or say before we wrap up here?
Now, after, talking about it, I'm just really excited to start this process and just learn and just dive in.
Great. So speaking of that, what we're going to do now, Diane, I forget, did you set up your Slack account yet? Because we're going to start to use the Uniting for Action Slack where Coumba and Afomiya are already set up. So we've already got the WhatsApp chat between the 4 of us. So let's use that as a starting point for communications. And with that, Coumba or Afomiya, one of you guys can help Diane get set up on the Slack. And I'll share the link again. I'll share it in our WhatsApp chat, the link that has the instructions on the webpage. And then you guys can follow that with her. I'm pretty sure Diane has an Uniting for Action email. I'll double check that to make sure she has an email address. Okay, great. So Afomiya, anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up?
I just want to say I'm also like excited. Yeah. So.
Great. Thank you. We appreciate that as well. I think I've said everything. Anything, Diane, that you would like to share before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good.
You've said it all. Yeah, you have. Okay, great. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited. I think this is a great and divine connection. I'm very excited to see what's going to come out of all of this. Thank you all for being shining examples of, what Uniting for Action can do in the world and really create some tangible results, using the manifestation process and what we're doing. So thank you guys. Super excited, and have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. This was great today. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank you,
welcome.
everyone.
Bye.
Welcome. Bye-bye.